3, 2, 1. What's up, Internet? It is Monday, the 12erd, 11erd of 2017erd.
Nerd. 17 nerd.
Monday nerd.
Yeah.
Right. What's up? Glad to be here today. If you can't tell, we've been kidnapped by the aquarium coop once again. Jiminy James here on backup dancing and backup vocals, doing some strong stretching yoga
Has
game.
Jimmy ever shown you guys the video he danced in?
No.
When you were 14, you have that video.
What?
We'll have to show it to you sometime.
14-year-old video. And right over there, we have Corey from the aquariumcoop.com. If you've never been there, spin over there and check it out, because they do have a whole bunch of plants and stuff like that. And as you know, today is Monday, so we're going to be talking about plants and things, and we'll get to that after we say what's up to everybody in the chat real quick. Let's see, who was first to the chat today as we take a look here and go through the scroll. Not Franklin. It was not Franklin. Chris Fishroom, first one to the chat, quickly followed by Sarah Konopko and Gone Mad of Iris. Gone Mad. See that? People think they're like,
Yeah, I was like,
did you freeze? No,
I
it's not the
thought,
internet.
I was like, what's going on over there?
I like to do that.
Because I was watching the backlog play.
I like
and
to
was
do that.
like,
I like to do that every once in a while, like minus actually making the internet screw up and pause. Yeah. I think the fish will give it away, though, because the fish keep swimming around in the background. But Eric and Iris out there in Chicago, the lovely hosts. Nisi of the North is
your
here.
own mannequin game.
What's
I
that?
just realized you're playing your own
I
mannequin
play my own
game
mannequin game.
without including anyone else. You were just like... The mannequin game's supposed to be a co-op of everyone in the room, buddy.
I do my own. What's that other thing? The flash mob. I do my own one-man flash mob. Like I'll go to Target or something and do a one-man flash mob.
Nice.
You know, aisle 27 typically.
I go to Ace Hardware because they hunt you, and so it actually is a flash mob. They just,
Oh, yeah.
if you don't acknowledge them when you walk in, and they're like, "Hello, what can we help you find today?" and you just keep walking,
Yeah.
they don't know what to do. They're just like, "Guys walking down aisle 4, someone get to him."
Somebody get over there.
And then you get a bunch of people.
I've done that on accident.
On accident.
Uh-huh. I send people to the wrong aisle. Like, people just walk up like, "Hey, man, where's the installation?" "Oh, that's 14 down there." And, like, point them the wrong direction even. Like, yeah, well,
It
yeah.
was like that guy that was trying to borrow your tape measure today.
Right. The guy at the Home Depot trying to borrow my tape measure.
It was
Hey.
it was awesome to watch Joel troll someone in real life. Because random guy comes up, "Can I use that tape measure?" Meanwhile, tape measure is not in Joel's hand. It's like hanging off his butt. And I know that because I was looking at his butt. But anyway, from a passerby standpoint, as I was my angle, I was observing the event. Asks him, and Joel says, "We're at a hardware store, you know." And the
Yeah.
guy was like, "Yeah, but it's 2 aisles that way. I just thought, you know." And I had no sympathy because I myself have walked 2 aisles over to get a tape measure, then walk back
Right.
and measure stuff because I know it's the depot of tape measures.
Well, I have to admit, you know, we are, that Home Depot is a stone's throw away from, let's just say, a lot of interesting street folk
Characters.
people
Yeah.
who play characters from movies in real life, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, my first initial impression is this guy's just going to take my tape measure and run off.
Yeah.
Like, last thing I want to do is run after some guy
It was odd.
for a tape measure.
It was odd.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the guy sidled up to you.
That's right.
Can I use that
Can
tape
I-
measure?
Can I borrow this tape measure? No, bro. No. But I did help him. I did measure
You did
it
walk
for him.
over there and
I did
measure
walk
the whole
over there
thing and
measure
helped
it
him.
for
It's true.
Right.
But yes.
But Let's say a couple of other quick highs to the people here. Wushu, Jimmy Brown, Master Beta, Annie Confetti. Dank Tanks is here. CNH Aquatics. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Let's scroll through the chat. Ryan Brown is here getting worried about Frank. Oh, don't worry about Frank Dominguez. He's there in the chat. He's real.
live.
He's live. He lives in my attic, and we're not at my house, so
he doesn't
that's
even
probably
get that good
why.
of cell phone reception, so that's why he's not on point when you're not there. He just listens for you to start, like, a lot of people don't know this. You actually start singing the internet song like an hour and a half before you go live.
About an hour and a half.
It drives me insane. He's just do. He's trying to get his tune. Like, you think it's off the cuff, but the dude's been practicing for like 90 minutes straight to come up with these tunes each time.
Hours of practice.
All right. Well, I tune out at about 90
Perfect
minutes.
practice makes perfect.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So let's see who else is in the chat here. Steven Scoglin here's Mellow Moogle, CL Roman. I've never seen CL Roman before. Who's that? Who is CL Roman? We don't know who you are. Well, hello. Welcome to the Nonsense Monday live stream. Let's see, JW's Aquariums, and if I missed anybody, it's not your fault. I don't know how to operate this computer. It's all in secret code. I think Jimmy had something to do with it. Slight sabotage over here.
Well, it's hard for you because you're left-handed.
It's upside down and backwards.
Yeah, and you're left-handed, so
it's hard to read.
Yeah.
So let's check out what's going on in the chat here. And some of the plants that we had on the list to talk about were some of the Anubias Gold Coin, which is sort of a new variant that maybe people haven't seen in stores, right?
I think it's been out for a super long time. I just don't think anyone was really selling it.
Right. Yeah, it's been living on the earth for a long time, and people have had it.
I don't know if that's a true statement, but I'm gonna go, yeah.
It's on the newer end, right?
Because
it's on the fresher.
What if it's probably got to be a cultivar, right? Like, what if they only cultivated it like last year, and then? So I'm gonna agree with Joel.
No.
So if he's wrong, I'm not wrong. I'm just like, well, I was taking him at face value.
Yeah. And then the other plant we were going to talk about was Hygrophila pinnatophyta.
I say pinnatophyta.
Pinnatophyta.
I always, in my mind,
Do we say hygrophilia or hygrophilia?
Hygrophilia.
I say hygrophilia too.
Hygrophilia?
I've heard people say it that way.
I have yet to hear someone say it that way. I will claim neither is correct or incorrect because I don't know.
That's hard to say.
But I've never heard that other one. So, but I would not stop someone. I would just be like, yeah, sure.
Like,
keep
all
going.
right.
Yeah.
I understand your words. So we'll talk about a few of those things, and some of the. I think we'll talk about the hygro more because I think the Anubias is a pretty straightforward. It's just sort of a different variant.
It just looks awesome.
It just looks rad.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say to get some if you get a chance. The care on the Anubias is pretty straightforward. It's not really that different from any of the other Anubias. If anybody does have questions for that, feel free to throw them up in the chat. If you are watching this later on, you can always throw that in the comments down below. Click all the hot links down below and all that stuff while you're at it.
Ooh, I feel like you need like an actual hot link in your graphics somewhere, because I've heard you say hot links multiple times, and I always think of sausages.
Sausages. We should get sausages in there.
Yeah,
I think so. We're gonna have a different overlay tomorrow. Maybe we could get Jimmy to throw some.
The funny part is I
throw
was
some
thinking
hot
like,
link
yeah,
sausages.
hot links. Let's just call them sausage links, and I was like, no, that's the same problem. Sausage links and hot links.
Right.
I didn't change it actually.
it's a internet link to take you directory
Yes.
link somewhere.
It's if you want to freak people, it's click on the hyperlinks below.
Hyperlink, yeah.
Yeah.
Hyperlink, I guess maybe sounds more official. I like to say hot link because I like to think about sausages and eating sausage sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it like a hot dog. I prefer sausage sandwich. It seems more refined than saying hot dog, right? Do you go with the cream cheese and sriracha?
No, so I wanted to. When I was in Maui, there was a hot dog that had it, and it sounded really good. But I am so weak when it comes to spicy things that I did not order it. But the cream cheese part sounded amazing. I was pretty much like anything but super spicy, and I get it. The cream cheese like tones down the sriracha a bit,
Right.
but half the time at like a Mexican restaurant, the normal salsa on the table is too spicy for me.
Oh, okay.
But I now know I have to quantify that, because now that I've eaten Mexican food around the country quite a bit, a lot of the country doesn't have very spicy Mexican food at all. Like, at all.
Right.
So I realize when people are like, this guy can't have the salsa on the table, because there are definitely states where it's water and red food coloring trying to pass it off as salsa.
Right. That's not what you get up here.
Yeah. No, we can actually get some, sometimes even my wife, who loves hot stuff,
We have a
that's got
real
some kick on it.
It's like we have a real Central and Southern America population here in Western Washington and Eastern. You go to Eastern Washington, it's like
I don't think I'd be able to
legit.
come back if
You
I
get
was
those
to eat some, I would
legit
just die.
tacos.
Yeah.
and you definitely get some spicy stuff up here thrown out on the table.
Some jalapenos.
If you get lucky, you get a little escabeche with your chips and some beans with your chips.
That's how you know if they like you. If they
That's
bring
it.
out the little saucer
thing
of
of
beans,
Beans also.
you know you're in.
Yeah, you know that they like your stuff.
But I'm pretty sure they profile me every time, and they're like, if we give that guy beans, he's not going to order much more. He just looks shady. Like, he's just here for the chips and the water.
right.
Part of the problem
He's
is
just gonna
I
hang
try
out
to
and
always
eat
drink
chips.
water at dinner, and I think that starts it off bad. Like, we went out to lunch.
You could just tell. Yeah, I'll
Last
have a
Thursday.
margarita. Just throw it away though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, we all went out to Mexican food on last Thursday, and they go like, "Oh, drinks, gentlemen, drinks." And then we all go, water. Because we all actually wanted water. And you can almost just tell, like, oh, these guys are going to collectively order $1.72 worth of food.
Right.
They were, like, angry. And then we proceeded to order, like, plenty. And then I think we changed their minds. And on my channel, you guys have heard me rant about this. But me and you ordered sour cream, which is, like, the biggest scam of all time going
forever.
to Mexican food.
The deluxe.
Yeah.
Which is like the guacamole and sour cream. And you're like,
But by then...
that's $3?
Yeah.
Sir?
By then, they weren't bringing out any, beans for the chips. Once
Right.
we redeemed ourselves,
Right.
it's so. Yes, you're
But
right.
I will admit, I would rather spend $3 on sour cream and guacamole than $3 on a Coca-Cola or whatever.
Maybe here's the tip. You go, oh, I'll have waters. And I'm just letting you know right now, I'm ordering sour cream and guac on what I'm going to order. And maybe
or just
that-
order it like right away.
Yeah.
Like, I need some sour cream and guac right now with these chips.
I know it's $3, and then maybe they'll bring the beans. We could run that experiment and report back.
It might be the way to get in on it. That might be a good way to get in on it.
Because I've seen it happen where I'm, like me and my wife or whoever, we're just, we show up, we're eating, and then the next person literally gets beans, and I'm going, what?
Yeah.
Same waiter or waitress, by the way. It's not like it's like, oh, one guy's on bean duty, one's not. So it might be that water. I might, I get that glass of water, and they just, oh yeah, this guy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I tip very well, by the way. So, but a lot of the Mexican restaurant, they turn over quite a few people, so they don't know who I am. But I don't tip to get the free beans. I tip for service.
Right.
But we're here to talk about plants and not beans.
Right. We're here to talk about plants and that kind of stuff. So we're actually going to be talking about Hygrophila pinnatophyta, which is a goofy plant. It really is a goofy plant. And those of you out there that are here and going like, I hope there's a video segment today. There is no video segment today because, I think Jimmy's our typical scapegoat because he leaves. So we'll just blame it on Jimmy. It's Jimmy's fault. He broke it.
We have been filming. I've been filming. Well, I won't say filming a lot, but we're doing like a whole vlog video today because our days started. Well, I started about 5:30. I think you did too. Mm-hmm. I had to go to the airport and back and do things. And then someone called out sick, and Joel showed up. He's been building stuff. And so you guys, we didn't really get a video segment, but there is video of what is happening today that will come out tomorrow. Speaking of which, Jimmy, if you're alive, put this in the vlog. I'll text you right now.
We got to put that in the vlog?
Yeah.
What's that?
We're going to break the fourth wall. We're going to film us filming. The internet loses their mind. One time, Jimmy was on camera. Mm-hmm. We set up all these cameras. Jimmy was on camera filming me and the camera he used the angle of him filming me. And when we broke the fourth wall, the internet was not happy about that.
Oh.
We totally lost the immersion of the unboxing. Didn't know there was such a thing until we accidentally broke that fourth wall.
Filming the filming is a problem. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Filming the filmer. Don't do it.
So we don't have, as I said, we don't have any video today. So a quick Google search could probably just look you up some images of Hygro Pinnatophyta if you've never seen it before. It is a very interesting. It's a very interesting looking plant. It does have some funny characteristics to it. The easiest way to explain it would be like if crypt, like a cryptocorn and a Java fern, like mated and had a baby. That's pretty much what you would end up with. If you think of it, like
I think a better, like if we're gonna pick the parents, crypt, I can get on board with that, but then bulbitis, African fern, because the leaves are way closer to that.
Yeah, okay, I can get along with that. Yeah. I wouldn't be remiss.
In fact, crypt Wendellii red, because you get that red color, so we'll bring in the red from the crypt.
Yeah, it has those weird crypt-like leaves where the underside is red and the top side is sort of a mottled, like, dark olive color with some spots and stuff.
Depends on how you're growing it. Sometimes it looks kind of like, hey, that's a shade of brown that's not attractive. It's still alive, but you're just like, yeah. You managed to pull off a color that no one likes looking at. Good job.
Right. It's luckily one of those good upward movement kind of plants. If it's under low light, it'll grow up kind of tall and goofy.
I had to grow immersed too. When duckweed took over a crystal shrimp tank that I did 0 water changes on, it just kind of
right.
You know, so it can be super low light, but this, I don't know. This plant is tricky for a lot of people. Or at least when I sell it, they're like, I don't get it. It's not alive. And the best luck I had with it was not planting it into substrate.
Right. That's one of the big.
I think that's the.
That's
it
one
looks
of the big
like
deals.
It goes there.
That's one of the big deals with it. It does have these really fine roots that don't, and that's why I was saying it has like that characteristic of Java fern because the roots are a lot like what you would do with the Java fern. Is that like you can set it like near the substrate, but the last thing you want to do is just stuff it into.
Hey, maybe you're probably. I know you're smarter than me, so. It doesn't really have like a rhizome type of thing. It's more like a stem.
Yeah.
But how do you know like where the crown on that thing is? Like you don't want to plant it too deep. Like what's the magic?
Well, the easiest way to deal with it, in my experience, that if I guess the reason I would say this is the easiest way because this is the easiest way, right?
Yeah.
Would be to add just like a lead weight to it and actually just drop it down and let it drop down behind something so you don't have to see the stupid lead weight.
Yeah.
But that is for sure the easiest way to do it is like, maybe a centimeter up from the base of where the little fine roots are and stuff like that. Add a little weight to it and drop it behind something and then just let it kind of just be back there. And then the roots will kind of reach down and grab some stuff and then you can take that lead weight off. That's the easiest way to do it. It's kind of a pain to figure out how to trim it. Even though the shoots you're supposed to you basically trim off the shoots, it'll help it grow more low and kind of compact. Along with like high light, you give it high light, high CO2, it grows super compact instead of all goofy and up into the air. But it propagates laterally.
Yep.
Right. So that's what people get confused and oftentimes cut the wrong part because they think that you clip the tops off and replant the tops.
It looks like a stem plant.
It looks like it's supposed to do that. It looks like you go, this is supposed to be just like a stem plant. I cut the top off, I replant it, I get another plant. No, and that's one of the big problems is that you don't end up that top that you planted down there won't end up being another plant. That's why another reason I say it's a lot like a crypt is that a crypt sends out those lateral little runners, except under the crypt does it under the substrate.
I was missing that link of like, but the crypt's gonna want. You can't plant the crypt like you would the The other, but no, I get it. Yeah, that subterranean kind of like, oh yeah, it's gonna spread laterally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, is that's one of the big parts that it does that certainly gets people confused, and then they more often than not, if people send me a question and they go like, "What's going on? This is dying" or whatever. Not 9 times out of 10, but oftentimes it's I'm like, is that a top that you just replanted? And they're like, yeah, that was gonna die most likely.
Yeah.
If you want to try and propagate the tops that you trim off, the best advice I can give would be to like float them in your sump or something like that and see if they actually sprout roots. Because it's sort of like...
I've never tried to do it that way, so I don't know if it'll
It's sort of like 1 out of 4 will sprout roots. Otherwise, the rest of them will just melt off. So you will get lucky. It's just a lower percentage of which tops will actually propagate or whatnot. So let's say you went through and you trimmed off like 6 of them, and then you planted them all in the substrate. Like 1 or maybe 2 would live, and then the other ones die, and then you kind of go, oh man, what happened? It's all dying, and it's like, no, you're fine. You can't propagate it that way because it needs to propagate laterally.
I've always gotten it from a hobbyist. So, like, when I did most of my playing with it, it was all the new rage.
Right.
Like, I think the first ones that our club got a hold of came from Tom Barr. And so it was like, you got a little snippet for $47 billion. And then you like, oh God, I have to cultivate it. Like it's so rare. And now it's pretty easy. Well, I won't say easy to get a hold of. Like not a lot of plant people carry it, but we bring it in from time to time. The reason I don't sell a ton of it is because I haven't found a good way for people to have success with it. I feel like you got to be like a plant keeper, if that makes sense. So like decent light, decent ferts, and plant it correctly.
Right.
But it's easy enough for people to kind of screw up one of those things where you're like, oh dang, it planted it wrong, or oh the lighting was kind of not that good, or they were just using like a little bit of Flourish Comprehensive or something, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it runs pretty heavy on.
I didn't even hear what he said.
It runs pretty heavy on potassium is one of the big issues with it.
Yeah, it is a heavy potassium user.
Yeah,
for sure.
and so
like Anubias.
Oftentimes you'll see like some of the older or newer leaves will have like pinholes in them and that kind of stuff. So that's something to bear in mind, that you probably want to make sure that you're dosing a little bit of like potassium and that kind of stuff. Which
or
doesn't,
Easy Green, which is all hopped up on that stuff.
Well, Easy Green's actually, it's probably the easiest one. I know that Jimmy and I earlier were having a real troubling time.
Real humdinger.
We were having a real troubling time putting some Easy Green in the 800 today. I think it took about 12 seconds.
Yeah.
And, man,
boy,
howdy.
You had to pour it.
Well, we both took a nap after because of just how much
Spent.
It just spent. I mean, it was, oh my God. Oh my God. It was so much. That's one that I would definitely recommend. If you do have a bottle of that, you're pretty darn good.
Yeah.
To get most everything that you need.
The best way I saw someone really propagate it was it was called wormwood. Do you know what that wood is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he like put it on that, or he and she, was a like husband-wife team, and it loved to crawl on that, and it would really like, I don't know if the roots tapped in and like consumed some of that wood, but it definitely grew better on that wood than like rock or other types of wood or anything like that. Like it really, and that wood, I mean, if you ever put it in a tank, it breaks down pretty quick. Like it's, you let it sit in there for a week and all of a sudden it's like kind of spongy and like, oh, I'm breaking it. But it really loved to propagate on that stuff.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I'm trying to think of a couple other
like
I mean, there are a lot of
core?
plants. There are a lot of plants that are those sort of fine root, those like fine black roots, kind of like a Java fern's roots. There are a lot of those plants that will benefit from being attached to driftwood because of the breakdown of the wood. That is pretty common. In the environment, that symbiosis where it's like a mother tree falls down. And in the forest,
does that make it? Is this the correct term? When let's say that mother tree falls down, does that make it an epiphyte? Or is it only if like that thing starts growing aerial, like in the tree's still alive?
Yeah, I'd have to look that up.
I just, I mean,
I know.
you're one of those nature nerds that you're like, oh, it's a, a Guggenheimer. Like, oh yeah, it's actually when that happens, it's called one of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be. I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people got mad at me about
I'm hoping
rhinos.
you'll wake up in the middle of the night.
A lot of people
going,
got mad at me about rhinos and elephants and stuff.
Yeah, that'll teach you.
They'll learn me. Learn
that
good.
They were only mad because that was the real elephant and rhino talk instead of the real fish talk.
Right. Yeah, the real rhino talk. Yeah.
It's our side project.
So it's one of those. There are a lot of plants that do benefit from that. I would definitely put the Pinnatifida on that list. That it will do better. One of the easy ways to sort of verify that if your wood is breaking down a little bit, like if you look at my 240, how close all the driftwood goes up to the lighting.
Yep.
Here's a little tip for a lot of people out there is that
Get your pen and paper
those
ready.
very tops where the light is hitting pretty well, I'll actually grow a little bit of blackbeard algae up there, right? And that typically is going to be that real exposure spot where the light is hitting enough and there's enough nutrient coming out of the driftwood from it breaking down, right? To really supply those kinds of plants. That if you want a real highlight plant and that kind of stuff, that's a real, like, a small trick that's just in my head that I don't normally talk about. It popped in there and I was like, hey, I better let people know, hey, here's a little trick, man. And that's also a great way to judge whether or not you should be putting, or whether you should not put low light demanding plants there, right? Like, you know, if you were to put some like Java moss or something right there, you're going to grow more algae than moss. So that's kind of one of those ways that where, you know, I just let nature show me like where to go instead of going like, I'm going to figure this out, you know, and like, watch me while I arm wrestle nature. Yeah. That's just one of those times that I go, oh, okay, those are those cool spots where I could add some plants and stuff. And it will fight off, the plants will fight off the algae because they'll be sucking up all the nutrient from that.
Assuming, you know, you treat the plant right. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm going to hit it with a stick.
You know, sometimes I like to do battle with a chopstick.
Battle Royale, chopstick style. I probably should have been reading the chat while you were talking, or was I talking? I can't remember.
You've been talking the whole time.
Oh, man. It's nonstop with this guy.
I mean, I just keep serving up the home runs. Like, what do you call the different epiphyte mode? You know?
Right. Susan from SLC is asking, do you weight the hygrophila to keep it on the substrate? Yeah, if you were going to grow it on the substrate, that's why you would weight it. You would weight it with a little lead weight. So you could drop it like behind a rock or something along those lines and allow it to kind of grow. You know, it could be a small rock or whatever. It just needs to be big enough to block the lead weight. So if you wanted to grow it via the substrate, that's the best way to kind of just add a little weight to it so it'll stay in place. And those little fine roots will grab onto like little pieces of gravel and stuff like that, little pieces of gravel, sand, and then end up weighting itself by grabbing onto a bunch of little stuff. So if you actually stuff it into the substrate, it'll actually just... It'll just die.
Suffocates out.
It just kind of suffocates. It's not getting enough nutrient and stuff. It doesn't really spread its roots out. Like, you know, if you do get a crypt and it's just got these little tiny roots, and you plant it in there, and you come back 6 months later and yank it out, and its roots are like gigantic and they've been all over the place. That's because the crypts have seeking roots, so they'll seek out and try and find the nutrient that they're looking
Search
for.
and destroy.
Whereas the Pinnatifida is just sort of counting on water flow to come by and grab whatever's going past, sort of like a
Pretty much
bamboo
how
shrimp.
That's how I eat tacos. If they don't
That's how you eat
if they don't
tacos?
get delivered to me, they don't really get eaten.
You just wait. You just wait, and eventually tacos will show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't take that long, you know. It's pretty reliable.
Let's see. Barbara Jackson is asking, is there a reason the Java fern keeps only making baby plants and not growing as an adult plant? So far, my Java fern melt and just make a ton of babies that don't grow up.
So what I run into, or what I see people, I've run into it as well, but So, who said it was a lack of nutrients? I think that was Steve Skoglund. I do believe it's a lack of nutrients, but a lot of people go, well, I'm putting in a ton of fertilizer. That can't be the issue. Well, let's say you've got me and Joel here. I'm Java Fern. You are, you're Bacopa. You're a stem plant.
Uh-oh.
And we dump a bunch of food.
That's not cool, bro. I want to be a cooler plant.
Cooler than Bacopa?
Yeah.
That everyone will know.
Okay.
It's a stem plant.
All right.
You get to be Bacopa. You get to smell lemony.
Maybe I could be Pogosta monstellata.
Octopus.
Octopi.
All right. You're actually you're Styrogine portivolo.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm cool with that.
You'll be that?
Yeah,
Okay.
all right. I'm cool
You're
with
that. Okay. So now you've got Java Fern here and Styrogine portivolo there. And you put in a bunch of tacos across the street. But then we have to race to get them. Guess what? Joel's going to win every time. And then I get like the rest of the crunchy taco that's left on the plate that you normally just like let your dog eat. That's what I get to eat. And so I'm not completely dead, but I'm not thriving either. So it's losing the race to the food. And that happens a lot in aquariums when it comes to plants, because you just put them all in there and you offer them food, and whoever can eat it fastest takes it fastest. So you either got to really overfeed or maybe trim back on that portivolo that Joel is.
Right.
So.
Oh, here's a good question. This is a great question. The simple mention of lead weights on a Facebook post had people freaking out about how toxic lead is. Can you talk about this a little? Well, I can mention, first of all, the lead weights that are on plants and stuff are not lead. So
even if they were, I wouldn't be afraid.
Well, I wouldn't put them in your mouth. But,
right.
I mean, lead exposure is dangerous, but the lead weights that go onto plants and aquariums, it's not actually lead, so I wouldn't really worry about it.
But even if it was, it's all about lead to water ratio. And then there's this crazy concept that will blow everyone's mind of plants take in metals. So like you're weighing down a plant that's going to scrub the toxins that might leach out from that lead. It's going to scrub that out of the water. Now, if you take those plants out, those trimmings, and you make yourself a nice smoothie, now you got some problems. At that point, if you're eating your own aquarium plants, I don't recommend excess lead. But in most applications, it would have been absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, the small amount of lead that would be from, I wouldn't. It's not a concern. It's like, the lead that is in paint is different than the actual metal lead in its like solid form, right?
Sure.
Because it's suspended within the paint, so it's basically like an emulsion that's inside the paint, and that's why if you eat the paint chips,
told you was smart.
If you eat the paint chips, you'll have a problem because it's essentially already been blended, right?
Yeah,
it's already been blended up in a blender.
It's already been made into a form that's not good for you.
It's a form that's not good for you. So the lead weights that come on plants, they actually don't have lead in them, so I wouldn't stress out about that. First of all, second of all, it's.
What are they, like pewter?
It's I believe
it's a concoction, but I can never remember
it's
what
not,
it is.
It's not pewter, but it's like a concoction of stuff, but it's not lead. It hasn't been lead in like a really long time. So I forget exactly what it is, but I do know that it's not lead that they use anymore. It would actually, here's one of the points that somebody was trying to say, like they were they were like, well, how would you know it's not lead? And it would cost so much more money to use lead than the like whatever it is that they.
That's pretty much a fact.
Whatever it is that they use for those weights, it's like pewter and tin and something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it all mixed together. And I think it's got plastic in it too, or something.
Some filler.
So it's some kind of filler, that makes it bendy. But
I'm pretty sure half of it's Wardley flake food.
It would be super expensive for them to get actual lead to make those those weights out of that they essentially give away for free. You know, so
that makes sense because those weights get pretty brittle fairly quick.
Yeah, they don't hold up for very long, but you can definitely put them in your, you can put them in your tank for a couple weeks, a month, or whatever, and then.
I would say the only other case I could think of, and this is like one of those like corner cases.
Mm-hmm.
If you were actually using actual lead weights, which we already established we're not, but let's say they were because you were like, I make my own lead weights because I'm crazy. And then you had a tilapia farm and you were like growing plants and then you were feeding the plants to like the tilapia and they were living in the lead poisoned water. And then you were feeding those tilapia to humans. That chain of events may be bad. If all of those happen, I could see that.
Yeah.
But the FDA is probably not approving you to sell those to humans anyway at that point.
Right.
So, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Phil Emerson has a good point. He says you can make gold out of lead.
That's why it's not cheap.
With your alchemy.
Yeah. I was never good at the potions.
You can be.
I was, and if I was making potions, but not using transmutes.
You could be like a Freemason alchemist,
nerd,
right? And then get a bunch of lead and make it into golden Bitcoin.
Look at this right here. Jimmy bought some glass.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
On his adventure yesterday. It just stones, that glass made me think of,
Yeah, and 48 Tom W.
That guy's always spitting the science.
Metallic lead is not the same as molecular lead in suspension. Yep, that's pretty much what I was talking about. That the lead paint, it was essentially suspended, emulsified. It's mixed in. It's different.
I used easy words of it's not in a form that hurts you.
Like if you ate like
those
old
are the real words.
Like if you ate old lead weights, like lead fishing weights, you just poop it out. You just poop out a lead weight. Well, I mean, hopefully it doesn't get stuck inside you because it could be a real
personal
problem.
Experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I don't know. I was not the brightest person in the world. I tried things. Tried things out as a young man. The old ones, the HC Aqua was asking, I'm pretty sure lead weights used for fishing are actually lead. The old ones were. Nowadays they are similar to the similar makeup of the lead weights for plants.
Let's take this one more degree away from plants at this point.
Don't take it one more degree away.
Because now I have a question. Do they still use lead inside of batteries? Like let's say your car battery? Because it used to be those lead cells, right?
No. It's mostly aluminum now.
But at one point it was lead, wasn't it? Like in the 50s or something. Like at some point I remember them being a bunch of lead in there for electrolysis, right? I don't know.
I think there's lead in there.
Man.
I don't know. We melted. This is probably bad, but I did melt down a bunch of batteries this year, and now I can't remember. I was with somebody. We were melting down a bunch of old batteries, and a bunch of them have aluminum in them, and a bunch. A bunch of them did have lead in them because we were making for anodizing. For anodizing is what we were using it for. So there's lead in those batteries.
That's what I thought.
I probably got too much of it in my system and can't remember what happened to me.
Yeah.
What happened?
You're not supposed to smell it while you're melting down
That's right.
lead.
Yeah, that's sniffing it.
That's even worse than emulsion.
That's just giving it the old sniff test. So now, we're completely off onto the lead nonsense. Let's just drop the lead because we don't. It doesn't matter.
Moving on.
It really doesn't matter.
Moving on.
But the hygro Pinatophyta is, in my opinion, it's one of the more confusing plants just because it's like soup. It's like what am I doing?
It's confusing because you walk into a store, like let's say you walked into a store tomorrow and you saw it, and you had never grown that plant before. You wouldn't ask me for help or my employees. You'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to take that sweet stem plant home and grow it."
Yeah.
Like because it does not look like it should, and so I think that's why so many people kill it. They're just like, you see a car, you walk into the dealership and you buy it, and it turns out it's a helicopter, and you didn't know. You tried to drive it like a car, and it just I don't know, the thing exploded, Like, that's pretty much what happens with that plant. It didn't do what it's supposed to do.
It exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, well, yeah, that's more of the reason that it's confusing is because you're like, well, what am I doing with this thing? What happens now? What am I supposed to do? So,
Yeah, so I guess that does make sense. Most people go home and kill it and stuff like that. So, which is why I was trying to sort of convey the advice where you're like, you could essentially, what's the word I'm looking for here? You can weigh it down with
Research ahead of
something.
time?
You can glue it onto stuff.
You can glue, but
I haven't had a ton of good luck with it.
I've like
with
stopped
gluing it onto
recommending
things,
gluing
so.
stuff because I keep bringing to people that there's more glue than plant, and then they're like, "No, glue kills plants." I'm like, "Or you can't do that because it kills them." I'm like, well, at the amount of glue you just used, that's a true statement. But a little dab will do you. It's like one of those things. Like if it stays there for a month, mission accomplished. Like you're not trying to fill a void for the next 7 years. It's like
Right.
we're not patching a hole here. We're just tack it in place. Little tap tap taparoo.
Right. Just a little tappy.
Yeah.
Tappy tap taparoo.
Tap it in.
With this hygro, if you're going to be gluing it to something, you actually just want a little dab above the roots, and then glue it onto something just up there. But just a tiny little dab. It's one of those things with super glue when you're using it. You want less. Less is more.
Just
you
remember,
want like
a little dab will do you.
a little dab will do you. You actually want less is more, and that'll definitely help out.
It's like silicone. When people work with silicone,
Yeah.
they go, well, I really don't want this tank to leak, so I'm going to put a lot of silicone
Right.
in. And that's the opposite
You're
principle there as well.
You're like, no, you want it like nicely applied.
Yes. Yep. So,
I almost forgot I'm supposed to be talking. All right, yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, we're at the 45-minute mark here, so we have to do our requisite little, hey, buds, we need your help. We got to crowdsource this thing.
It's true.
Boopity boop, boop, boop. Our guy right over there, and I point at this. How do I do it? Nope, I got to go. Hold on, I have to do it this way. Whoa, ow. Whoa. Yeah, that guy over there. That guy over there has definitely been doing his part, along with you guys, the patronizers over on Patreon. There's another one of them back there in the room back there. If you haven't been to the Patreon, there's been a slight little bit of confusion in regards to the Patreon because they haven't even changed it yet.
I think
but they
Patreon's
announced
gonna cave
they
anyway.
announced that they might change how they were going to process the processing fees.
I like to liken it to net neutrality. They basically announced
Right.
something, and the entire internet is now revolting. So much so that the number 2 person on Patreon, like the guy with the most subscribers, said, "You go through this, I'm dropping you." So that's a pretty big tell of them, like, maybe we should repeal this change. But nothing's happened yet.
Right.
So at this point, keep supporting and support often the Corvus Oskin show. And if all heck breaks loose, we will find a new way to make the things happen. Like, don't worry, we can buy stuff on Amazon by clicking through the Dark Star Arts banner. We could buy his artwork. We could buy stuff through Aquarium Co-op, and then Corey will buy him a taco. Like, we'll figure it out. But for right now, we're trying not to freak out. So the easiest way is go to Patreon, sign up, give him some dineros. He makes more stuff. We make more stuff happen. And then eventually, cool things happen.
Right.
Right.
We had a couple of comments recently that some people were wondering if there was another way to support the channel and this and that and the other thing. The easiest and cheapest and freest way is to just show up, hit the like button, subscribe,
Share.
chat,
Tell your
chat.
grandma.
Chat.
Yeah.
Share it with your grandma. Share it with your grandpa. If you got great grandparents, they love this show.
Yeah.
They just maybe don't know how to internet.
Right.
Like they're like, I don't know how to
My
internet.
grandma actually does love to watch me.
I
but
need
she
my
can't
great
figure out-
grandson. I need my great grandson to come over here and set up the internets for me.
If I don't directly link her a video, she can't figure out how to watch it, and yet she
Yep.
loves to watch them.
Right. My grandma is the exact same way.
Yeah.
We had a conversation on the phone that she has the iPad.
The
And-
iPad.
The iPad.
Yeah.
My grandmother is 89 years old.
Mine's only 84.
and lives by herself,
Oh, mine too.
and has the internets on the iPad, and
Mine
has
has a
no
Chromebook.
idea. Has no idea. I was like, yeah. Well, she was like, well, what are you doing today? And I was like, I did my show earlier, and blah blah blah. Well, you have a show?
Mine
Yeah.
is aware of my show.
It's on the internet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know that I have encountered a lot of people that are like, look, I don't have any money, blah blah blah, this kind of thing. That is not close the door to anybody.
Support is support.
You support is support. You watch a show, do all that kind of stuff. Some people like Glass Boxes, Stephen Skoglund, Nisi of the North, Candy Overhauls. A lot of people in the chat right now are supporters and all that kind of stuff. So it's very appreciated, and everything's going great. We're heading in the upward direction. Somebody asked a question like, hey, why don't you go to Peru with Corey so you could catch your own fish and bring it back and shoot videos with
And the answer
cameras?
was he's not invited.
And then it turns out I wasn't invited because I have to buy my own plane ticket.
Yes, that is one of the requirements of going to Peru. You have to pay for yourself.
Right. That's the deal.
Yeah.
So I would go. We got to just get to a higher point of the old crowdsourcing or whatever, and then you go.
It's actually pretty expensive.
Yeah.
It's
not
like
cheap.
$5,000, but that doesn't include like the gear you need, so you don't take 6 leeches to the crotch,
Right.
and then like all the shots you have to get. There's quite actually a bit of stuff, but once you get all those shots and you do all those things and you buy the anti-leech jock strap and all that, you're good forever. Then you can travel in Leech Town as much as you want.
Yeah, some of them fall out, jump out of the trees at you. You know that, right?
Oh, there's anti-leech tree equipment. It's kind of
What,
like
a
a
baseball
mosquito
bat?
net. No, it's like a mosquito net that's a little bit coarser.
It's like a big hockey stick.
Yeah, like a lacrosse stick,
Oh, a cross
actually.
stick.
That's why it's got the net so you can catch it.
All right, yeah, you catch it and
It's
swing
like an
it.
industrial-sized butterfly net.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
That'll work. Yeah,
Then
but
you can throw them at intruders.
yeah, so a lot of people were asking, like, hey, why aren't you going to Peru? That's why. But if we do hit that mark, we'll be heading out to do more stuff on the road. That's something that you and I have definitely talked about quite a bit. Is like,
Oh, we're going mobile.
we're going to go mobile. We're going road tripping. We're going to come to somebody's house.
Ooh, instead of
and
Fluval tripping.
instead of
it
fluval
needs
tripping,
to be like
road tripping.
road tripping. Yeah.
Right. And
We need. Okay, now we need. You guys need to spam Fluval with Fluval tripping,
Right.
but it needs to morph into we drive around the country giving away Fluval lights.
right.
That's a way cooler Fluval tripping.
Yeah.
Like if they're smart. Well, if they're smart, they're not even listening to this. But
Get
if
that.
they're listening right now, you need to make Fluval tripping happen, where we actually just give lights away and it becomes something cool and awesome and organic,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like, how about we pay you guys to do the most boring review of our light
Right.
you've ever seen?
I don't want to do boring review of the light. I do have a new Fluval review video coming up,
Ooh, nice.
which
I enjoyed your last one.
I don't know if people will be. I think they'll be entertained. Let's put it that way. They'll be entertained, and so I think. Well, we do have another Fluval review coming up, and we'll see how that goes.
Flavu.
I'm laughing at it because it's a Fluval tripping video. So
Even better.
we'll
It's a little sampling of what's to come, Fluval.
it's the
You
sample.
can expect this kind of
You can expect
quality.
this kind of non-stop torment, right?
I guarantee you, though, everyone in the chat right now knows what Fluval tripping is about.
That's right.
Because if we were just to sit here and say, like, today it's been brought to you by Fluval. They pay us for this light. You should probably buy these lights. Like that has way less effect than
Yeah.
random Fluval tripping.
Yeah. Just Fluval
organic.
tripping.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Hashtag Fluball trip. Fluball. Fluball.
pound
I don't know
sign.
what that is, but Fluball.
It's the pound sign. It's crazy kids out there using the pound signs.
You know.
I don't understand. It's part of the algorithm or something.
two
I'm not
hashes
100%
crossing.
certain. It's like you got all this. They
We
calls
need-
it
we
a
need-
hashtag.
So when we do the Fluval trip, and I'm building this thing, it's going to happen somehow. But we need, like, one of us to do this move, because that's the hashtag, right?
Mhm.
But then someone else has got to, like, spell Fluval with their fingers or something.
Right.
It's got to be super gangster.
Oh.
Fluval tripping.
Maybe we'll have to go back to Home Depot and see if some guys can spell out
Yeah.
Fluval gang sign
Yeah.
style.
We can make this happen. This is going to be good.
I bet those guys down there could probably do it. They seem like the kind of guys who could put that together.
Real gangsters probably know, like, there's no way to make that letter, bro.
There's
Like,
one of
when
them.
you make a T, that takes 2 hands. That's just a known thing, buddy.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah, you can't spell tripping. Like, you can't. How do you cross a T on the one hand to make tripping?
Yeah, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna make a
If you got to
T?
spell tripping and fluval,
And you're
you
like-
only got 2 hands.
You got to put together like
What do you expect?
It's got to be a lowercase.
Yeah.
It's got to be lowercase.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's where all that kind of stuff comes from. So
Yes. So if you're a giant corporation, sponsor now and sponsor often.
right.
We can come up with all kinds of dumb
Although
stuff.
we're just we're more interested in just kind of harassing Fluval because we really like the company and
I'm more interested in having fun.
they're all pretty nice. Yeah.
I mean, that's the great thing is I like their product. Like, whereas
Yeah.
Wordly, I'm pretty much just trash talking their bad flake food.
Right.
Well, most of their food. Not even just the flake, all of it.
Just all of it.
I'm just not a fan of like any of it. In fact, I had someone email me, and they were like, "Oh my god, it was so hilarious! I went to visit my dad, and he was feeding the koi Wordly food." Because he probably picked up at Walmart or something like that, and then they were like, "Yeah, it was bad." I was like, "I told you." So, it's like making fun of McDonald's. At the end of the day, if I have to, I'll eat McDonald's. If I had to, I'd feed Wordly. Hey, nothing wrong. It's cheap.
It is cheap.
Yeah.
That's true. You got a good
Sometimes
point.
Wordly's where it's at.
I'm currently testing
You're currently
out.
eating Wordly, like just you yourself,
Well, I get hungry and I just
Yeah.
eat it.
a little bit on a salad.
Salad.
Yeah, like you prepare a salad and then you add
No.
you add brine shrimp,
No.
or not brine shrimp, shrimp pellets.
I actually the only time I ever make salad is for Vicky.
All right.
But what
You
I
don't
normally
make a
do,
chef salad.
I make chef salads quite a bit for Vicky though.
Mm.
But
Aren't those Vicky salads?
I
then?
I liquefy my greens. Like I'll put an avocado, a spinach, like some celery, just a whole bunch garlic, a whole bunch of nonsense, and I just liquefy it and then drink it like a shake, like kale and all that nonsense.
I feel like garlic was not the right ingredient to add to that thing you're drinking.
You want the garlic? It's good. Gives you the power ups.
No, it's good for you. I'm just
Yeah, it's good for you.
envisioning actually tasting this concoction.
It's not a. It's.
I was on board. I'm like, okay,
It's not a taste.
avocado.
It's not a taste time. It's not a good taste time. You just
Okay.
drink it. It's good for you.
Mm.
It's a good for it. It's a this is good for you thing. You know.
Does that drink like come with a puts hair on your chest, son?
Yeah, it could come with that. It
Yeah.
could easily come with that caveat. Yeah.
That's code for try not to puke. It's embarrassing.
Right.
Oh man.
Jay keeps asking me when's the Nicru LED light review coming out. I don't have that. I don't have one, and I don't have one of those coming out. So
I have one,
I know.
but when I get time. So far, I've legitimately been working since 5:30 a.m. without taking a break. At some point, there will be time to shoot that review, but it hasn't happened yet. The best chance I have so far is Friday.
Right.
But by the time Friday comes, there might be other stuff that I have to do. But being that I just got back from vacation, stuff keeps getting piled on top of me left and right.
Mhm.
It might be one of those things that doesn't happen until January because I still got to count inventory. My staff's talking about switching systems for counting inventory, so that's a whole different headache. There's a lot of things that got to go down between now and January 1st. So
Right.
you might gotta wait. You might gotta wait 3 more weeks or something like that before you knew. That's right. You can tell I've been working since 6 a.m. When my
Right.
thoughts no longer even resemble a sentence, that's when you know, like, your brain is tired. But maybe 3 more weeks, and then hey, do I want to invest these Amazon dollars by clicking through darkstararts.com and ordering yourself a night crew light, or don't you? That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll come out. It's just not one of those things like a night crew light. 1, doesn't make me any money. 2, will be very poorly watched. And 3, already I'm hand to mouth in terms of videos. Like, what are you doing on Thursday? What's Thursday video, Corey? I don't know. Haven't shot it yet.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's a problem, you know. So it's one of those humdingers. Meanwhile, everyone's like, "What video are you releasing for the 100,000?"
Meow.
Well, it's going to happen in about 2 days. Don't know. Haven't shot it yet.
It's probably got something to do with flu vault tripping, some
Yes.
vans driving around.
Could be.
Probably some Roman candles. Probably shoot off some fireworks.
Yeah.
Wait, don't do that. We talk about it all the time. That's dangerous. Don't do that. Well, I guess you can shoot Roman candles like into the
On New
ocean,
Year's.
over the ocean.
No, I can't.
You can.
You can, but all I can think about is how I'm polluting the ocean. That being said, I fully am aware that I probably pollute the ocean in millions of ways every day, but when it's at the front of my brain, then I can't do it. Then I'm like, hey,
Yeah, when
that's
you're,
really
like,
bad for the environment. Don't do that.
actively-
Meanwhile,
while
as
you're
I eat like
actively
a
doing it.
cheeseburger or something else,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's actually 10 times worse than whatever I just did on a normal day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So it's weird like that. I fully realize I am the #1 hypocrite. That's my new.
Well-
I'm changing at 100,000. By the way, I'm changing my channel name to #1 hypocrite.
#1 hypocrite.
Yeah,
Well, that's all right.
and releasing my rap album. Straight tripping, bro.
Bare Bottom Aquarium is saying I binge watched about 20 of my at least 5-year-old videos last night.
Nice. Went down the Joel hole.
Go easy going down the rabbit hole. It's deep and dark and sometimes a little
Sometimes
grimy.
you don't come back out.
You got to watch out. You should probably turn your audio down if you are watching some of my old videos, because you might freak some people out. Sailor style.
How do you plant a Pontigeton crispus in water sprite? He just got him from the aquarium coop. Pontigeton crispus, I would use that weight technique. Throw a weight on it, let it sit on top of the substrate. It's going to throw down its roots, get its boogie on, and then it's going to grow ridiculously fast and awesome. And you're going to go, ooh, I'm going to order 3 more of those. And the reality is, don't order more because it's probably going to get ridiculously big and awesome, so you don't need more.
It's gonna get awesome. It's gonna
Yeah.
get big.
And also know that plant, because of where it comes from in the world, does have a dieback period. So you're going to get like 8 months of everyone that sees that aquarium thinks you're now the new master when it comes to growing plants. And then it's going to die on you. And you're going to be like, I didn't do anything different.
Yeah.
That's a normal cycle. It's going to die back. But if you let it chill in that aquarium, maybe a month, maybe 2 months later, it comes back. And that's why it grows so fast is in nature, it goes through a dry period. And it knows, I got to get big and make more of myself before the drought comes again.
Right.
And so it's kind of cool that you get those different phases going through that. And then the water sprite, you got 2 ways you could grow that. You could grow it floating. It's got a floating mode. And then it's got like a stem plant mode where you just jam that bugger down in the gravel and it makes more.
Yeah, I would definitely, with the water sprite, I would for sure float it first.
Certainly can.
I'm not going to say that it has like a rough transitional period, but it's just way easier to float it for like a couple weeks, let some roots pop down, and then plant it. It's just going to
aerial
be
roots.
way easier, realistically. And you can definitely, once the aerial roots, if they come from the middle of the plant, from the bottom of the plant, gives you a really good idea like where to trim it a little bit, and then give those some planting action. Just be aware. So you got them from the aquarium co-op, so they're probably already converted.
They're already at least mid conversion.
Yeah, at least close to that. So you already are pretty
It's not like the loose bundle.
heading the
Those
right
are just
direction.
train wreck.
One of the things that always freaks people out is if they get water sprite, it starts out looking like it looks like mint.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like mint leaves, and then the underwater version is way different. The submerged version is way different than the immersed version. So bear that in mind. Don't think that you have anything going wrong, or if when you get it, you're like, this doesn't look right. It looks like weird mint. Don't stress out too much. It's going to grow into that big, spindly, crazy kind of squirrely plant.
It'll get cool.
Just remember, it will get cool, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah.
I would, the Pontigeton, just follow that. Just give it a little weight, let it drop some roots down, and you'll be fine.
If you have like a lava rock or something like that, like if you have the quintessential, I'm gonna buy a rock from a fish store that has a hole drilled in it, like that quintessential thing. We sell them online. I carry them in the store. I use them. They're actually rad if you just like it, because everyone just puts it in their aquarium. You're like, look at this. It is a rock with a hole in it, right? If you just flop that thing over, now it's got a hole and there's some substrate. You jam that Apontigeton crispus in there, and then it looks like a rad rock with this giant plant growing out of it, and it holds it down, and it looks super cool. So I like that move. That's my number one go-to move with crinums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it works on all kind of those.
Little bulb.
I don't want to say bulb because last time I got reamed by the internet.
Little bulb action.
They're not bulbs. Yeah. It's like,
It's
okay.
like a little bulb, man. That's
It
what that
is
shape
like
is.
a little bulb, but I think it's like technically a tube. I don't even think it's technically a tuber. I think
It's not a tuber.
I think the aquatic version of a tuber has some crazy word that I don't remember off the top of my head currently. But
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, it's a bulb.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Yeah.
It's real. All right.
Keeping it real on the Real Fish Talk.
Kylo Mikthos says, well, Joel, my girlfriend knows you as the singing fish guy. I've been called worse things, so
Yeah.
I'll give that a thumbs up. Sounds good to me.
I was trying to think if there was I was trying to decide if that was good or bad, but I couldn't really think of like a bad
Yeah, it doesn't
singing
sound
thing.
bad.
So I was like, well, she didn't call you this at least, but I couldn't think of anything where I'm like that. Yeah, that would have been bad.
Farty McFart butt.
I was just trying to think of bad singing.
Oh.
Like
Oh.
you sound like a 7th grade choir.
Right.
How do you like that?
Right. Oh, I wanted to mention before we get to the end of the show today, if anybody checked out the video from this weekend, the doctor keeps trying to hijack the stream. So I'm not going to let that happen
Where are you?
unless we get to the Patreon goal. Our next tier on the Patreon goal is to do a whole stream with the doctor. I'll get him to come on the show. I'll go into his lab and we'll go check out what's going on in there. And so that's our next Patreon goal. So some people were wondering what
Something
that
to look
was.
forward to, a little Christmas present,
That's
make
right.
it happen.
We're trying to
Christmas
make it
gift to
happen.
yourselves of. Well, I was gonna say, is it still Doctor Strangelove or?
Well, it's not Doctor Strangelove because Doctor Strangelove's a movie.
Oh.
It's Doctor Strange Fish.
Oh.
Stephen Von Sturgeon, Strange Fish, the
see.
Doctor.
What
So-
does he have a doctorate in?
A doctorate
Yeah, what does he have a doctorate in?
in fish love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see where it all came together.
Yeah. Yeah. Phil Emerson saying,
I don't know what that means.
that's a Nickelback.
I-
It's better than Nickelback. And here's a nickel.
Fair. All right. I will
Yeah.
not fight you on that.
All right. Well, we've hit the 5 o'clock mark. I know that a lot of you guys are fans of Bob Steenfont. His show goes live,
Yes.
as far as I know,
Now,
next
pretty
up.
much,
So if you
right?
guys are hankering for some fish live streaming, whatever, head over to Bob Steenfont
Aquatics.
because he is live, and check it out over there. We will see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow
at
morning.
10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time
Unless
on the
roads
Real
explode.
Fish Talk channel.
Yeah. So
used to
type
be
in Real Fish Talk.
It used to be Jimmy of Aquarium Coop,
Yep.
Jimmy of Aquarium Co-op. So if you were subscribed to that, then you're already subscribed to the
You're there.
the Real Fish Talk. We just changed the name, working on some branding, getting more shows out to you guys and stuff. So 10 a.m. tomorrow. Be ready for that. Be excited for that. Just quit your job and listen to shows. That's probably
Most logical choice.
or just call in sick or whatever. It's December. No one really cares.
True. There's kind of a Christmas party you got to go to. It happens to be at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just a little busy.
It's this Christmas party I got to
Yeah.
go to. So hopefully we'll see everybody there. Hopefully we'll be back here tomorrow too. Also 4
Yes,
o'clock
tomorrow
So
at the 4 p.m.s. We'll
if you have
also be
any
here.
questions in the meantime, throw them in the chat down below, or head over to the community page on Patreon, and
Let me know
can
if you want
post
more
them up
Joel
there.
insults. You sing like a 7th grade choir. That level.
That's pretty good.
It's kind of fun to come up with, so I'm hoping I have a reason to
I sing
find
worse.
ways.
I sing worse than a 7th grade choir.
Yeah.
So that's almost a compliment. Thank you. I feel good. Like I'm almost trained.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. I had a blast. We got building to do, though. Secret
We got-
building.
Secrets.
For bigger stuff. Other stuff could happen with these buildings.
That's
steps.
right.
We're hoping he'll have us done tomorrow.
What's that? Who?
I'm just hoping you don't lose a thumb by tomorrow.
Why would I lose a thumb?
Chop saw
I got a new one that's not possessed.
remains to be seen.
It's not possessed. It's got no ghosts.
Wait till
in
I'm
it.
done with it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out, and we'll talk to you later.